speaking of critical levels of absolute derangement, we also have to talk about there were a lot of people who were not happy at the fact that I got an interview last time. Asmongold is one of those family member you have and you never invite them to family events. And if they randomly show up, they have to sit in the other room out of line of sight with their shoes still on. What is this? Now, I know this might shock nobody, but there were a lot of people out there who were fucking furious. They were so angry that of all the people, of every single person that could possibly get an interview, it had to be me. And it's like, it's kind of like, why are they mad? Because basically there are these people that, you know, because Blizzard obviously hasn't done a lot of stories recently, the community's come up with their own fan fiction. And so these people have invented a person out there that's supposed to be me. And like this person is going to be like, okay, he hates black people. I didn't even know that I hated black people, but apparently I do. On top of that, I also hate women. I hate gay people. Who else do I hate? I honestly lose track, guys. I really do. Because if I just go to these fucking comments, they just give out a list of all the things that I don't like. It's like, as I said, it's like Game of Thrones, where they list out the king and like all of his titles. They're listing out me and all of my fucking isms, right? Like, that's it. And meanwhile, I don't even know this is happening, right? I'm just sitting here streaming, you know, talking about a video game, and I go over to Twitter or something like this, and I read it, and it's like, oh my fucking God, where are these people coming from, man? Yeah, it's just nuts. And so yeah, it's nuts, man. And say to everyone equally, there's no problem. I don't hate anybody except for people that are rude to me, right? That's it. Like, I don't care about this shit. Like, why the fuck would I care? And like, I think that and always the evidence that they have is like one tweet that I made 5 years ago. And they're like, yeah, see? Yeah, see, he hates him. It's like, that was a joke, number one. Number two, like, some of the tweets, I didn't even make these tweets. It's like, you know, they just wrote it, fucking photoshopped it in there. Like, I don't even say this shit. And like, also, I mean, let's be honest, I've made a lot of bad jokes over the years. And you want to know how many of them I'm sorry for? 0. I don't care. So just keep that in mind. I don't want anybody to think that this is me trying to, you know, not be, not own up to it, right? Of course, I'm not sorry about any of it. I think it's fucking funny. And so, yeah, absolutely not. And that's the one important bit of information. And you know why I'm not sorry is because I know that there's no ill intent behind them. I know that I'm a good guy to an extent. And it's not, I don't hate people categorically. And so it's important to keep that in mind. However, there are a lot of people out there who believe the opposite. It's always funny to read these comments. It is. None of the MMO champion thread were talking about the actual interview. And so this is what I find to be so interesting too, is that if you go to one of these pages, I don't know if I can find this, MMO champion, and I look at the threads, literally nothing. Like, none of it even has to do with anything. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with like what I'm saying. It doesn't have to do with the interview. It has to do with like some other random stuff that like people are just arguing about me. Show the comments, free content. Oh, don't worry about it. I will. I think that it's fucking hilarious. So many comments criticizing you. It's nuts, man. They want to waste your time. Yeah, I know. People on there are actually deranged. I think that the reason why they're so unhappy about me, the reason why they're so angry, is the fact that I do what they think that you shouldn't be able to do, right? These are the people that got bullied in school for playing video games and they hid their passions. These are the people who don't like to tell their friends what their interests are because they're afraid that people won't like them, while they secretly hoard and collect Funko Pops of Porgs in Star Wars. This is the kind of people they are. They're repressed, sad, angry, resentful losers. And that's all they are. And as soon as you understand that about them, everything else makes perfect sense. Because look at me. We come on here, and this is why they hate my community too, is that we don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if people like or don't like what I'm saying. I do to an extent. To be fair, I do. However, the effect that I do care, I make it very known. And I also try to, you know, like, I try not to make people mad unconditionally, right? Of course. But in general, I try to just be myself. And I think that whenever you're yourself, whenever you're truly yourself online, you have so many people that are going to rise up to tear you down. Because these are people who have lived a repressed life of resentment, a repressed life of missed opportunities, of lost interests, of, you know, just like people that didn't have the opportunity or didn't want to take control of the opportunity to own their own life, you know. And these are the kinds of people that that rise up and they shit on you whenever you do the same thing. It's like crabs in a bucket. They never want to see somebody else come out ahead because they couldn't do the same thing themselves. That's the facts. Interviewers talking about, no, it's not even about, see, like, what you'll have to see here is that it actually has nothing to do with the interview. We get it. You don't like, it's just the haters that he preaches to get web hits and clicks. He tells them what they want to hear, whether he actually believes it or not. Telling people to harass players online who bought the TBC mount is intelligent. Well, obviously it was. That's why Blizzard had to fucking ban the emote. It was so fucking effective. So yeah, I would agree with that. It was. Yeah, it absolutely fucking was. And so yeah, they banned Spit, exactly. Bring back bullying to prevent microtransactions. Listen, here's my, listen, we have lost this war. They're going to continue what's wrong with A1? Like, I have, like, these are delicious. I had a steak last night. It was fucking great, man. And so, yeah, what do you mean? People get mad, chug the steak sauce. I don't know if I want to do that. But yeah, a lot of these people are very, very upset. And so, anyway, let's look over here. The guy is rich, filthy rich. He could buy you and your future generations without even breaking a sweat. This sounds just like something that Nick would have said back 10 years ago on Arena Junkies. Like, that sounds exactly like that is 100% a quote from Nick. Like, absolutely. What's the rest of this? I'm not a fan of Asmongold. So having money doesn't mean it's okay to be a jackwagon. So these are people, that's why he's pretty much permabanned, right? Wait, I'm permabanned? Good luck finding a clip of him saying the N-word. He's the only biggest story on Twitch. Yeah, listen, and saying this 50-50 chance, there's a lot of people who are mad about this. And I read this thread, a little bit of it. Almost nobody in this thread is actually talking about the interview. Nobody's even talking about the interview. And I think that's what's such a big thing, right? Is that, like, nobody's even getting into the actual, like, what was talked about on the interview. And it's like, Ian talked about some pretty interesting stuff, right? Nobody even heard that. You know, that's it. They're really spreading lies. So let's read this one. Go on his stream and find recent content where he's being hateful. I think everyone including Twitch wants to see hateful content. Yes, exactly. The loudest of his community are petty. The only difference between him and Macaroni Penguin is he tears apart his loud followers' antics. Oh my god. Wow, this is unbelievable. Let's see if I can find some more of these. And let's read the first page. I think let's read the first page and we'll see where people are here. And let's see. Why Ian agreed to do an interview with Asmongold is beyond me. The guy is a whack job. I guess kudos to Ian for sitting through the idiocy. In my opinion, it's a pretty good sign. Possibly they're willing to listen to people's feedback now. I'm not holding my breath, but it's possible. Maybe the Microsoft deal wasn't that bad. This user was banned. Ian was all like, I'm a troll. I should definitely interview one of the internet's biggest trolls. What's this here? I get it. But Asmongold is one of those family member you have and you never invite them to family events. And if they randomly show up, they have to sit in the other room out of line of sight with their shoes still on. What is this? Like, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, what is this? What is wrong with these people? Speaking from experience? Yeah, apparently. Like, this is nuts. Join date 2008. So there's no way this guy isn't at least 30 years old, okay? Like, I'm sorry, but you know you're fucking 30. You're 30 fucking years old. You are a middle-aged man now. You're moving in. You've got gray hairs in your beard. You're thinking about your 401k nowadays, and you just type this shit on the internet. Oh my fucking God, man. It's nuts projecting, bro. They're so uncomfortable, amazing. I know, it's nuts. And is Ian well? He seems to not be able to relax and sit still. He's probably just like, I mean, I'd be a little bit nervous, right? Since my community is a little bit, very, excited. It is cringe at debasing yourself through an interview with someone like Asmongold. Shows at minimum a momentary slip in judgment. Yes, there's a lot of people that were very, very upset about this. And again, this is what I want to see here, is that literally nothing here has to do with the interview. Nothing. It doesn't have to do with what I said. It doesn't have to do with what Ian said. It doesn't have to do with fucking anything. All it has to do with how much people hate me, and there's a few people that say that I'm not that bad and they get banned. Right, that's about it. You can confirm, read the whole thread. It's all Asmongold bitching. Yeah, let's see here. A hate thread against a hateful person. Yes, I know that. All of this Twitter cancel culture talk until they never watched you. Of course not. He is problematic, though, and so is a huge portion of his followers. The Asmongold community is notoriously toxic for a reason. Not because people are trying to tarnish Asmon and his followers' images, but because they actually are those things. If he didn't frequently take aggressive views on things he doesn't like, and was generally a lot more pleasant person, he might have a better rep and a better following. But his chat only behaves as much like he does, which is not great a lot of the time. That's right. If only I had the same opinions that you did, I would not be problematic. Wow, what a great solution there. All I have to do is have the same opinions that you do, and suddenly I'll be okay. Wow, I didn't know it was that easy, guys. So all I have to do is agree with you, and you won't hate me. Well, thank God for that. Yeah, thank God. Yeah, this is the least toxic MMO champion poster, obviously. Here's the reality, is that the reason why people say my community is toxic compared to a lot of the other communities in Warcraft is because my community is astronomically larger than all of the other communities in Warcraft. So, for example, if I have 5% of my audience that's toxic, that's larger than pretty much everybody else's entire fucking audience. And that's just the truth. So, of course, it's going to look that way, because you're looking and you're dealing with the law of large numbers. But the fact is that no, a lot of my audience is not toxic at all. And a lot of the people that are toxic are just there to start trouble. They're not mine anyway. Yeah, that's all there is to it. True and real. Well, people just don't realize that because they're fucking stupid. That's the only reason. And that makes sense. Yeah, you're just dealing with the law of large numbers. It's that simple. And of course, everyone is talking about Asmongold and not the actual interview. And so if Ian's ever been a top company swamped in lawsuits, Asmongold's the reason the spit emote was removed. I'm glad they put this on Twitch instead of YouTube. Every single time I click on an Asmongold YouTube video, my entire feed gets flooded with his videos. It's just a YouTuber grift for saying dumb stuff in a moment you have to hold yourself to. It's like saying Nostalgia Critic is a character. Because the interview is still happening. People talk about content. So calm down. Like him or not, Asmongold is a big advocate. I'm generally kind of give benefit of the doubt but gosh, is it a bad look to give time at all to a guy like Asmongold. The whole thread is like this. I'm not going to read all of them because it's fucking boring at this point. But, oh my God. Oh my God. Isn't this really something? This is crazy. Aren't you happy you have such stupid, pathetic haters? I always feel good whenever the people that don't like me have stupid reasons. You know, it always makes me realize that I'm making dumb people mad, and I think that's a positive thing. How is it a bad look? The interview is actually good so far. Asmongold bad, that's why. Boom. There it is. Problem fucking solved. And law of large numbers actually prove opposite of what your hypothesis is, though? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I'm not really exactly sure what that is anyway. I think it's just, like, basically things of scale, right? I mean, it's very simple, right? If you have an audience of 1 million people, it's like, how many followers do I have on my channel? It's like 3 million or something like that. All of the other WoW streamers, like, nobody watches them because they just stream Mythic Plus. It's fucking boring. Nobody wants to watch that. And so the fact is that, like, a lot of those people are not even really WoW players to begin with, right? These are just random people as well. No, it is true. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you've got to do different stuff if you want people to tune in and watch the show. That's it. And so in general, this is something that I think people need to realize, is that, you know, whenever you have a larger audience, you're going to have some of those bad people. You're going to have bad apples and bad actors. And also, there are people that just because a stream is large, they go into it and start trouble because that's a place where they can have a large audience for their behavior. They want people to see how obnoxious and annoying they are. It's what they enjoy. So that's how I see it. That's one thing I've noticed a lot, and that's just what happens all the time. And being an asshole, everything you say is true. Well, listen, here's the thing that I've said many times. There's a lot of people calling me an asshole, but there's not that many saying that I'm wrong. I am not wrong, and the fact is that what I'm saying is true, even if you don't like it. And that's what I always do, and it makes my chat mad sometimes, it makes other people mad sometimes, and I can guarantee you that eventually it will probably make you mad too. And that's it. Will you ban the people who do? Exactly. Why would I even waste my time? I'm not going to indulge every single counter argument or every single time people disagree with me. You know, that's about it, man. Well, they say you're wrong. They can't back it up for shit. Yes, Asmongold is wrong because he's an asshole. And why is he an asshole? Well, it's because he's wrong. All right. Well, that sounds great. Well, we're already off to a very positive, a really positive outcome, right? You have a huge ego, and that's what puts people against you. Well, I don't really have a huge ego. I think that people always... So here's my opinion on like ego and how people perceive ego online. I think that people perceive confidence as ego. So if somebody is confident in what they believe or confident in what they think, they are perceived to have an ego. These people are considered to be, oh, well, this is a big ego Andy because now he's, you know, he thinks he's better than other people. He doesn't want to listen to other people's perspectives. And no, that's not really true. It's just that I think their perspectives are dumb. That's really all there is to it. How dare you be confident in something you know? Yeah, so that's what the difference is that I think a lot of times people with like very low confidence and, you know, basically zero ego at all. And I don't think having an ego at all is a bad thing. I think that it's only a bad thing whenever it allows you to forgive misgivings, right? And to forgive, you know, mistakes that you make, etc. And so it's even a problem. Yeah, exactly. And I think really it's just people that don't like having somebody out there spreading opinions that they disagree with and not indulging their counter argument because they think that they deserve that time. And so that's all it comes down to. And that's why I think that people get upset about it. And I think that it's a problem online in general. But at the end of the day, people are going to do what they're going to do. There's nothing you can really do to stop them or really try to counteract this, etc. And that's all there is to it. You're vocal about your opinions that always set people off no matter what it is. Exactly. Yes, people don't want to have their opinions questioned or anything like that. All right, let's see this here. On Preacher's point in Allcraft about WoW storytelling should not be copying Final Fantasy. I agree with this, and I don't think this should happen either. That's what it is. I wholeheartedly agree with him. Final Fantasy is the way it is because it has Final Fantasy in the title, and thus it has to live up to the expectations set by the franchise over 3 decades. Long-form, linear, cinematic, dialogue-heavy narrative. Final Fantasy isn't doing anything innovative here, it's just continuing a tradition. If World of Warcraft is going to improve on its story, it should look to its heritage, Warcraft 3. So what kind of storytelling elements does Warcraft 3 have? Mission-based, campaign-based, faction-based, brevity and dialogue, action-heavy, simple on the surface, but lore-deep story. Warcraft 3 was a seminal game for its time, and more elements of the storytelling modern WoW can borrow, the better. I think a big reason for that is because there were way more, kind of large events that happened in Warcraft 3 in general. I think that's a big factor. And also, I think kind of like what Preach said is like, oh, the game is like, you know, the world is on fire, but somehow everything is okay if you go to Stormwind. Like, you have to have like that duality if you're using a persistent world that everybody exists in simultaneously that aren't on the same parts of the story. So it makes sense why WoW is going to have that problem. I think it's a big issue. However, I think this person is right. They should try to tell stories that are more like Warcraft 3 and more like original, like Warcraft 2 even, and World of Warcraft like at the beginning. Tell simple stories. You know who is a great character, who is a good example of this, is Illidan. Illidan was a simple badass who had one-liners, and it was great. You don't need to write Game of Thrones. You don't need to write, Heavensward. You don't need to write, let me think of another example. Like, you don't need to do this, right? You don't need to write any of this. It's like Lord of the Rings is a great example of this, right? Lord of the Rings is an incredibly simple story. It really is. There's this really bad guy, and he's so bad, and he wants everybody in the world to be his slave. And he has this ring, but we cut the ring off, and so he died. But he's not really dead, so we have to kill him again by destroying the ring. But we can't destroy the ring, so we have to put it in a volcano. That's about it. That's really about it. There's no complications to this. There's no, grand design. Like, yes, Sauron, if you look into the lore, there's a little bit more to it. And, it's kind of like a malevolent benevolence, right, of a certain degree. It's like, I'm doing this for your own good. However, this is not accessible in the base story, right? You don't really know this. And, the whole story, there is no real gray areas. There are very few characters that have, mixed intentions, etc. It's very straightforward, and the story's great. So you don't need to have something that's incredibly complex and that has, like, all these different angles and, perspectives to it. I think that just tell a good story, and that's it. The Jailer? Well, the Jailer has a lot of complexities to him as well, and I think that's what people were expecting. Jay the Bard with the 5 good subs. Thank you very much, Jay the Bard. So a good example of WoW having that kind of a character is Gul'dan. Gul'dan is the best example of WoW having this. Gul'dan is just simply a piece of shit. Why is Gul'dan a piece of shit? His clan made fun of him a long time ago, and so he killed everybody or something, and then he got in league with the demons, and because they want to make him more powerful, something like that, right? I'm like, what's really the lore in this? Yeah, so Gul'dan is just a bad guy, right? Elements left him on red, exactly. So you like the Jailer? No, I don't like the Jailer. I don't think that Jailer is a good example of this. I think that people that are saying this is what happens, is that the Jailer is clearly a bad example of this. Gul'dan is a good example of this. That's why I'm talking about Gul'dan. And so, and Gul'dan was a decent character in the story. Like, should Gul'dan be the only character in the story? No, of course not. Yes, but I think it's a big factor that a character like that has value. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? Yeah, he got bullied, killed his entire clan. Exactly, yeah, that's what it comes down to. Complexity is done is great. Look at early scenes in Game of Thrones or the books. Yeah, exactly, but like, that's hard to do, and it takes a really long time. Stabbing you with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you very much. Yeah, keep it simple. That's really all I've got to say, is just keep it simple. People actually unironically like the Jailer. No, people misunderstood what I was saying, and because I said I like characters that are simple, people said like the Jailer to try to like counter me or some kind of gotcha. But obviously, the Jailer is a terrible example of that, and so they show themselves to not know what they're talking about. Because Gul'dan is, of course, a much better example. Gul'dan is this is a universally evil character. There is no good to Gul'dan. There is no, he's doing it for the betterment of Azeroth. No, Gul'dan only cares about his own personal power, and that's literally it. Let's see here. I'm going to read some of these. WoW has a shit story, and yes, that includes Wrath of the Lich King and Burning Crusade and Legion. All main characters were reduced to one-liners. I feel like side quests are more well-developed. Warcraft 3 was actually well done. As I said, I thought the Illidan story in Legion was great. I thought the Kil'jaeden ending of Velen and Kil'jaeden at the end of the story, I thought that one was great. I think that they do have good stories, but of course it's easier for them to tell them in a much smaller scope. And Gul'dan owns Reddit. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's not about, like, having one-liners is totally fucking fine. And like, a really good example of this is, like, think about 80s action movies, okay? Like, if you go back and you watch, like, the original Predator or, like, the original Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger, there's not a lot of complexity to this, okay? Or, like, Conan the Barbarian. It's really not a lot of, it's like, what's going on here? Like, it's just, yeah, so, there's this robot, and he, like, we have to kill him. Or like, oh, there's these bad aliens, and we have to kill them too. It's very fucking simple. And that is the kind of stuff that has value, I think, long-term for some people. It doesn't necessarily have to be complex. People can look back on those stories and appreciate them and like them, even though they didn't have the same complexities as, you know, maybe the Final Fantasy storyline or something like Game of Thrones. Do you see kind of what I'm saying here? Is that it's not, you don't, like, these movies are all about one-liners. It's the same as like The Expendables or like any Jason Statham movie. There's no real complexities here. It's just a good movie that's fun to watch, and that's it. What about Berserk? It's great and it's full of gray areas. All right, let me just wrap this up, because I think that we're just going to go back and forth about this. I think a story can be great if it's a binary, you know, black and white story, good and evil. And I think a story can also be great if it has like multiple shades of gray, like Game of Thrones or like Berserk or something like that. Both of these stories are equally good, but I think that it's important to know that one of them is much harder to craft and create. And so if you're not going to do that well, maybe try something else that's a little bit more simple. And I think that, yeah, having a more simple story does not necessarily mean that it's inferior. That's what I'm really trying to say. They shouldn't copy the style. Blizzard has a really big issue where they want to tell grand narrative experiences with complex characters, but their game is actually a really bad vehicle for it, so we end up with so much external media that people don't even consume. I think that's a big issue. I'd love to see more cinematics in the game, and I think that would be one of the biggest things that could make the game better in the long run, is seeing more cinematics and seeing more things like that that people can go and watch and just really enjoy on their own. I think that's a big factor. Yeah, cinematics. Let's see the rest of these. No use arguing over storytelling techniques when the team developing WoW is factually incompetent. Nothing good will ever arise from it. Here's the thing, is that, Mike, I don't know. I feel like there is a very good chance, here's the truth, most of the story has been told in a bad way. Let's be honest. It has. Pretty much every part of Shadowlands has been fucked up. So what faith do I have on Dragonflight? Pretty much zero. Pretty much zero. Like, we'll see what happens. Absolutely, we'll see what happens. But I'm not going to sit around and, you know, write a blank check. I'll say that for sure. Let's see the rest of these. Breaches FC and Final Fantasy made a play and tame retelling experience. This is a 55-minute video. There's no way I'm watching a 55-minute video. That is pretty cool. I think that's probably about as long as, holy shit, the whole thing is, oh my god. Oh my god, what is this? That's nuts. It's 35 minutes. It's still too long. Let's see here. Cute Asmongold. What the fuck? What is this, dude? Look at the teeth. Bro, this looks like Bloodborne concept art. This is awful. What the fuck is this? I don't think that the desk is nearly cluttered enough to be Asmon. It also has too many teeth to be Asmon. Meat Cannon Asmongold. Oh my, 6 fingers on the right hand. Pretty cute. He evolved to have 6 fingers because it helps him reach more abilities on his keyboard. Asmon the Grafted. This is just a photo of Asmon. Can I buy this NFT? Photorealism. Snooky? Finally, someone gets the hair right. Okay. All right, let's move on. That's great. Yeah, it's not me. It's not a photo. Since Asmon has shown interest in the latest Ultimate, made a supercut, rearranged it on phases. Sure, I'll watch this in a few minutes. I'm actually curious about this, because I've seen a little bit of information about the new Ultimate, but I haven't really been able to watch it yet. And let's see here. When you catch Asmon after he started watching anime again. Oh my god, what is this? Oh my god. Oh my god, what is this, bro? Like, look at that cat. Like, it's just like, the fucking cat caught in 4K. Yeah, listen, guys, I've always watched anime. I stopped, as I said, guys, I stopped watching anime for like 10 years because of, I watched like Naruto or Bleach, like one or the other, and I thought it was so bad. I assumed that all anime nowadays was like that, and I just stopped watching it for like 10 years, no joke. Like, that's what happened, and besides that, like, now I'm back to watching other stuff, and it's more okay. And again, I use the benchmark for anime in general is the, am I going to have this series, the whole story, be based in a high school. If it's in a high school, I don't want to deal with that, okay? Craziest event, yeah, that's the same Preach event there too. What's this here? Misshapen chair parsing. I actually have this in my watch later. I will watch this video for sure. Yeah, based on what? Yeah, if it's something that exists inside of a high school, I probably don't want to watch the anime. That's what I based it off of, okay? Let's see here. And Silver Moon City. I mean, this looks pretty nice. I mean, for sure. I mean, definitely, man, definitely. You really like Steins Gate? People have told me there's a lot of these I would like. I'd love to see them redo Silver Moon or one of these older cities. I feel like at this point it's probably never going to happen, though, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's see here. Not for Asmon, but Guild Wars 2 people in the sub. Okay. How the fuck did this MMORPG never get popular and released in the West? What's this? Full Ifrit? What the fuck? Okay, yeah, I'll look at this in a few minutes. Ah, Silithus, just like it was back in vanilla. Okay, dude. Yeah, it's a bit much. And I don't know if Asmon's seen this on Steam yet. Maybe he's interested. Berserk, Band of the Hawk. I heard a lot of the games for Berserk were not really very good. And so that's kind of how, that's how I've seen it. So I never really looked into any of them. What's this? Oh, come on. Come on. Okay. What's this here? Where's the hype? 7 days after each cinematic, Shadowlands, Battle for Azeroth, Dragonflight had 2 million views. Fool me thrice. Everyone who follows Asmongold checks out the sub, generally the turbo nerds. Even players stop playing or generally still engaging with Warcraft and other mediums than the average player. In general, a lot of people are just no longer interested. Well, also, like, you do have, I think that there's 2 videos on the Warcraft channel. And so there's one video that has like 2 million and then like another video that has 2 million. But it is still certainly less than BFA. Now, I think the truth is that, like, after 2 expansions, Blizzard is just, listen, they're like, people are tired of getting fooled. People are tired of getting fucked around, goofed around, annoyed by the same shit every time. I think a lot of these guys, they're like, listen, fool me once, fool me twice. I'm tired of getting fucking fooled. So a lot of people are just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. I think Dragonflight is an expansion where Blizzard is going to have to earn back their audience. That's really what my opinion is. Like, they're going to have to earn back their audience, and it's going to take probably a year. It will probably take a year into the release of the expansion for people to warm back up to it and come back to it. It's the same as like what happened with Legion. So Legion, like the game came out and people were, you know, like still pretty negative over Warlords of Draenor. And it took about a year or so for people to finally think to themselves, like, yeah, you know what, maybe I'll try the game out again and play it again. And I think the same thing could happen with Dragonflight. Like, that's also a best case scenario, but that's what Blizzard should try to do, is hope that the expansion has the same type of vibe. Because so many people quit the game after Warlords of Draenor that I think that Dragonflight is going to have the same situation, right? Is that there's already been 2 expansions that let people down, and you've got to keep in mind contextually, like the expansion before Warlords of Draenor was Mists of Pandaria. And Mists of Pandaria at that point was like the most fucking like heavily argued expansion. People were like really mad that they added pandas into the game. They were fucking pissed off about that. They were like, what is this? This isn't Warcraft. Like, what the fuck is going on here? And they were very frustrated about this. Like, we can look back on Mists of Pandaria and think to ourselves, wow, this is a good expansion because it had these features. But the theme of the expansion, the implementation that like LFR was throughout the entire game, because this did not happen in Cataclysm, it was only in Dragonsoul. And so the entire vibe of the expansion was totally different. And Mists of Pandaria played a lot more similarly to how the game plays now, and some people are not happy about that. And I was kind of one of those people. I didn't like the panda theme at all. I thought the pandas, I've always thought Mists of Pandaria was fucking stupid. I never liked it. I think the farther we can get away from that, the better. I thought it was stupid. It just had nothing to do with the rest of the story. Like, you have like a million other things that you could do in the game. You had like Kul Tiras, you had like the Dragon Isles, you had you could investigate Karazhan more. There's like the Twisting Nether, there's like Argus, the other planets, like something like this. Why the fuck are we talking about pandas? Like, what is this dog shit? And so yeah, the Emerald Dream, like it's just, there's so much more that they could have done, man. Yeah, I didn't like it at all.